Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to Lunar Reflections, our bi-weekly astrology show where we discuss the current moon cycle, sharing real-life stories, helping you to connect with the transiting planets and all that's going on in the skies. And what does that mean for us, real humans here, and going to a deeper level? So we are in the full moon portal, and it's open. And there's a lot going on. So Corbin's here with me. We're going to talk about it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jake. I'm a hypnotherapist, tarot reader, intuitive guide. I help you connect with your higher self, connect with the past and the future for making the best possible present that you can. And I'm joined by...
Hey, everyone. My name's Corbin. I'm a Pisces, Cancer, Cap, just for throw my big three out there. I'm a natal astrologer in the evening. I love working with different transits and cycles and with the natal chart, of course, to help unpack all the energies inside of you yourself that are contained inside of your body, as well as looking at different transits to understand different cycles of life that are going on as everything is always changing. Like Jake said, we are here for the Capricorn full moon. Really excited about this one because, the Earth is already shaking for our Capricorn full moon. So we'll dive into it today. It's really a big one. We are at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So make sure that you grab your chart. But the astrology is like really, really packed right now. We have so much to dig through today. We're like less than an hour away from the full moon being exact. I think that'll actually happen while we're live on this show today. Mercury went retrograde earlier today, just a few hours ago. So we'll have a lot of fun talking about Mercury retrograde and all the mishaps that are coming up with that one. And just a few hours after our full moon, we're going to have Jupiter switch signs and move into Leo, which we did a show on recently. So it's really a lot of changes going on in the sky right now that we will unpack. Oh, and don't forget, Mars just entered Gemini yesterday. So there's really a lot to talk about right now. We're back from vacation. We just had a little week off with our family vacation. So we'll bring some astrology stories, but then as well some stories from our own personal lives. Share down in the comments. Let us know the sun, moon, rising.
I'm a Pisces sun, Aquarius moon, and Libra rising, for those of you who don't know.
Or let us know what house Capricorn is in your chart. If you know that, they'll help to clue in what area of life is being activated by this lunation cycle. Or maybe you're going on a trip soon. Let us know if you have a vacation plan for yourself or what some of your summer travels are all about, because it's Cancer season here and it is time to relax by the water.
Indeed.
Oh, shout out to everybody joining in. Hi, Emma. Good to see you. Hey, Ken. How's it going? Jody. Nice to see you, Jody. And Watkins. You're here too. Shout out to you, Watkins. Hope you're doing well. And I hope everyone is hanging in there as we have all these shifting energies right here at the Capricorn full moon.
And we got Watkins sharing some moon rising in the chat. Thank you. Yes. Oh, look at you. Got that Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn. It's the perfect combination of the two of us.
So Watkins, funny. Yeah, you're like a blend of Jake and I.
And hello to you, Reggie. Welcome to the vertical stream. Yeah, we're in both places. And we've got our 2 cameras going, so hopefully everything looks beautiful, which it does from this end.
Can we just sneak preview to really exciting special show today? Can you pop the wheel? Y'all, we have a new wheel. We have a new beautiful wheel. Check it out. I mean, don't look too closely. We'll talk about it more later. But I have some new software that I'm debuting today, so we'll get into that in just a little bit. But really excited to do our first show with the new software.
Wahoo, indeed. It's going to be fun. Oh, and then it sends us back to that mode. There we go. All right. Happy Capricorn full moon, y'all. Happy Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, I mean, if we already clicked the wrong button today, we are right on track for that.
Lord. Yeah.
for the Mercury retrograde. If we forget our words, we're right on time too. It's perfect.
Let us know if you've been feeling that. I love it. I love it. Well, of course I do, Reggie. Hit that subscription button. You know the drill. And thank you, Ken, for sharing yours in the chat too. All right, y'all. So we're going to dive in, I think, with summer vacation first, right?
Yeah. Like I said, we just got back. Cancer is, always that season that's related to that, your family, your upbringing, where you came from. And so many of us go on family vacations at this point in the year too. And like I said, Jake and I, we just got back from our summer family vacation, but it's Cancer season, y'all. Summer is here. We just had our solstice. So yeah, Jake, tell us about our trip.
Oh my
Tell
gosh.
everybody else about our trip.
Well, we'll share a little bit of it. I mean, we were there for 4 days, 5 nights. It was a good trip. I think one of the most interesting things was that, so we went to Branson, Missouri. If any of you have been to Branson, let us know. I talked to one of our neighbors as we were going, and he said the last time he was in Branson was the 70s. And it was funny because when we went there, we kind of remarked that it probably actually looks pretty similar. I mean, I'm sure there have been updates. I'm sure there have been changes, but there was a lot of like the signs and the places and stuff that really did have that like 70s, 80s vibe to it. So it was interesting. But we went to this place. We went to Branson because my parents had been there, and they'd been there twice, I think, and they really liked it. So they wanted to bring us all back to give us the experience. And so we spent most of the trip, a lot of the trip, revisiting places they had gone, visiting places that they had frequented, or talking about restaurants they had gone to, or things that they had gone on those previous trips. And there was just a lot of that like nostalgia of the past. And I think like the best moment that illustrated that was we went to this place called Top of the Rock, or Top on the Rock, or something like that, Top of the Rock. And it's like up in the mountains, Branson's in the Ozarks. And so this is mountainous. It's like this very beautiful overlook sort of place. And there's an old church there. And what we didn't know is that there's a big golf course there now. And it sounds like it was not there the last time we were there. And so my parents, when we went there, they were like, wait, this isn't what it looked like before. Oh, I wish it was still the way that it was, because we could have just walked all up to that church, and we could have just, wandered over this direction, rather than the golf course changing things and making it so we had to like go down an elevator and through these hallways. And there was like this back way that we had to go. It was very much like a moment of like reminiscing on the way things were, and that nostalgia for the past, that nostalgia for better times.
And this is so Cancer. Cancer is one of those signs that, just like Jake said, is associated with the past, that can be lost in the past, or just be kind of clinging and holding on to a time that is long gone from now. And yeah, we just kind of thought that it was so funny, because not only was it like a longing for the past, but it was also like a reminiscing on how it used to be. And so I know that their Cancer season's been going on for about a week now, and I've definitely heard, as different planets have come through Cancer, Mercury, Venus, everyone has kind of taken a turn coming through this area of our charts, and it's just really led to more of this like retrospective reflection period that's going on, which I think is so perfectly aligned for that Mercury retrograde that we have going on in Cancer right now too. But yeah, it was too funny, because I thought to myself, gosh, they must really have loved it here. There was another thing too. We realized that this vacation, we were in the mountains again.
Mm-hmm.
Twice we've gone on family vacation with like Jake's family now, since we got married. And every time we go to mountains, and I'm just like, Jake, what is the ancestral or Cancer tie-in with your family and the mountains? Because we just keep visiting mountains. And to me, it felt like, the deep lineage must go back to some mountain folks, or perhaps, everyone in Jake's immediate family used to be giants or something like that. I don't really
we're
know.
all giants in this lifetime. So I really do feel like we have that giant lineage.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's the shortest of the 6 of us, and she's 5'11". So we're all over 6 feet, my brothers and my dad and I. So I feel like it's that giant tie, that ancestral tie. But I'm also sure that there was other lifetimes in these areas. I mean, you think about the vastness of experience, like probably had a few experiences in that realm, that area, that biome. Mountain biome. Yeah. So definitely interesting. Hello to Carol. Good to see you in the chat.
Hey,
and
Carol
yes,
and Ben.
drive safe, Emma. We're sending you love.
Yes, everyone, extra safe travels now that Mercury is stationing. Just hands at 10 and 2, and maybe check over both shoulders both times.
There you go. The last thing that I'll mention about family vacation was we have a newish baby in the family. I have a nephew, and he is 16 months old, and I feel like he was the star of the vacation. Many of you probably have had children, probably the first grandchild of the family. Those of you who've had that experience know that they definitely they take the center stage. Everyone's excited about them. They're the next generation, and beyond that, I feel like the joy and like the laughter. I mean, he would just run around a lot of times just like laughing and smiling at people, and bringing this thing over here and handing it to that person, and just the joy, the laughter, the excitement of that like new life. I feel like that was definitely a big theme of our vacation experience too, and I think speaks to the Cancer energy as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, we still have some really big emotions going on while Jupiter in its final minutes inside of Cancer. I mean, it's really about to change any second here. But Jupiter as an archetypal energy likes to magnify or increase or make bigger the things that it comes into contact with. So when we're working inside of that emotional Cancer world, especially when we're like close with our family, the presence of Jupiter can make the good feelings really, really great and really, really big, and we're having a grand old time and everyone's cheering. Or like losing a game of Uno could lead to like a really big freaking fight that like everyone had to like separate in like the room and deal with. And big emotions, that's part of the archetypal energy that we're working with right now. That grandioseness from Jupiter is shifting right now, but this lunar cycle, this moon itself, with all of the Cancer energy, there will be some big emotions. And so like, yes, this is kind of a fun story about how we just got back from vacation. But again, it's an example of how the astrology is lived through all of our daily experiences, whether we realize that they're significant or not. If we take the time to reflect on what's going on around us, you can really see that astrology coming to life in just about everything that you do. It's really more than the news headlines or, major events in your life. You can kind of feel the energy of the planets in your daily life, really. So.
Oh, I definitely agree. Yeah, it was an interesting vacation for sure. Interesting energies that we're moving through. That like the big swings, the dramatics, have definitely been consistent over the last couple of weeks. So I'm imagining some of you guys have been feeling the big ups and the downs, probably emotional.
Do you want to pull up the chart real quickly?
And I'll just
point to everything that's in Cancer right now. So here we are on our new wheel. Shout out Nachespo. It's my new software. Reach out to me if you want to learn more about it. Maybe you've heard about it, but anyways, we'll be playing with this over the next few weeks. If we look over here at Cancer, we see the sun at 8 degrees Cancer, and we have the moon directly across at 8 Capricorn. But like I said, it's still packed inside of Cancer. We have Mercury here just beginning to station retrograde. That retrograde will go from 26 all the way back to 16. We'll talk about that more in a bit here. And yes, Jupiter just at those final minutes here, 4 more minutes to go before Jupiter enters Leo. So really just kind of that, this signature though is held in place for the next 2 weeks by this lunation cycle. So even though Jupiter is shifting into Leo, that idea of some big emotions or a big emotional release definitely stays into play, even though that Jupiter is changing sign. The other thing that I want to call out here too right away, because we have a Capricorn full moon, I'm always thinking about the traditional ruler and what is their position in the sky at that time, because it really helps us to get a deeper understanding of what this full moon is really going to be all about. We have Saturn down here in Aries. Saturn's been moving very, very fast through Aries. It's almost halfway through Aries right now, and is in fact squaring this lunation cycle. And so this is kind of going to be the next topic that we dive into here, but it's going to be the influence of Saturn in Aries on the full moon here. You see, one of the things that Jake and I realized as we were driving home and debriefing from this trip, of course, there were many great moments. You can pull the chart down. There were many great moments with a lot of fun. But as we know, sometimes with family, things do get a little bit difficult. There are always moments where things could be a little bit better. And so as we were talking about how can I look out for, how can I care for, how can I support my family more with what I'm noticing and seeing after, this experience that I just went through, being on a family vacation. And that leads us to our next topic here, which is about new mountains to climb, which I really think is a good theme for this full moon. You see, Capricorn is all about where we take up a role, where we create a structure, where we work towards providing for something. And of course, here we're talking about it because of our family. But Capricorn is a rather traditional or conventional sign. So this might be relating to these areas of your life where you're a little old-fashioned or you're a little bit more reserved. But definitely as we were thinking about this inside of Jake's family, it was this idea on how can I carry the torch for my family? What am I willing to take responsibility for in order to make sure that this goes more smoothly for everyone involved? Cancer itself tends to be a little bit vulnerable. It tends to be a little bit sensitive, and Capricorn is kind of on that opposite side of it, where it's a little desensitized at times. When the moon is in Capricorn, we tend to sometimes put our emotional needs aside for more 3D or productive, less luxurious needs. Long story short, when we were on vacation, the big problem that we kind of had, and no offense to any family members watching, we love you all, it definitely was around food, which is such a weird thing to be thinking about. But
I feel that's a Cancer thing to be thinking about, though, too.
It's
the nurturing, the caretaking side of food, right?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it was. We as a large family with lots of adults, we tend to coordinate dinners, but breakfast, lunch, a little bit more kind of choose your own adventure, do your own thing, and that has worked at times, and it's also not worked at other times. And especially as you're trying to plan programming and what's the group going to do, who's doing stuff on their own, where is everyone going, and how are they all getting there. And there were these moments where it was wait, but when are we going to eat? Wait, but if that's happening then and that's happening then, are we going to have a meal in there somewhere? And I think there were these moments just where it was no one really taking the lead on that because everyone was kind of fending for themselves. But then that meant that
who's taking responsibility?
Yeah,
I mean,
but then it ended up in this kind of like challenging place at times where it's like, okay, I want to go do that thing, but I really need to eat, and so how am I gonna manage that and eat? And so I feel like there were some moments of needing to really like take care of yourself. And I guess the kind of where that led us as we were coming back from this trip was the ways that for me personally I've stepped into more of a culinary role. Corbin calls me a kitchen witch, because as I've stepped more and more into the kitchen, I'm pretty good at it. I make good food. I make healthy stuff generally. Try to bring good food into the mix. And so this was a moment where it's like, okay, could this be a role that I step into with my brother who is a former chef? And can we help coordinate meals and make this less stressful, easier on the group, easier for everyone, and like make things run smoother? Because no one really is taking responsibility for that. And like my mom, bless her, she's done that for all of our life, like our whole life. She doesn't need to keep doing it. She doesn't need to keep coordinating meals for everyone. And so how can we as kind of the next generation step in and take on a new role, take on a new responsibility?
Well, and Jake, you said in there one of my buzzwords for Saturn. I'm a Capricorn rising. I love Saturn. I just can't talk enough about how important Saturn is for all of our lives. But you used the word should, and I definitely heard the word should quite a bit while we were on our trip. And if you ever find yourself in a position where you're saying, oh, I should have this, I should have that, I should have taken care of this, I should have done that. Well, it's that like nagging part of your subconscious, conscious mind, both parts of your mind, that nagging part of your mind, that Capricorn inside of you, that old goat inside of you, that there's that mentality of like, see something, say something. It's like, if you are recognizing that there is a problem here, or that there is an issue, or if that you are having it, it really has become your responsibility to do something about it. You're the one with like the conscious awareness of it. And trust me, many times people were okay not eating. Like people were having too much fun to realize that they hadn't eaten, But like if your tummy's nagging at you and you're saying, oh, I should have, here's that Saturn kind of popping up, right? And so in all of our own personal lives, we might be feeling these shoulds or these nags or these pulls to do something. That really is one of the flavors that's going on inside of this full moon right now. Because Saturn is in Aries, you might feel a little of those Aries negative emotions, anger, frustration, impatience, as you might be waiting for others to do what they need to do or to get the message or whatever. But there's always a reminder here for Capricorn, and especially in the sign of Aries, of being self-sufficient. And, if you have that forethought to take care of that thing, that really is the calling from the universe and from your higher self to go ahead and take care of that thing. And so while it wasn't like fun to do a bit of like cooking on our last day of vacation, we made sure that we made extra food so that we could bring it in the car and have car snacks, and made a giant bowl of popcorn for our 11-hour drive home. And I thought that was wonderful because that helped us keep everything light and lovely. But, again, this isn't just about mine and Jake's life. There's definitely something new inside of your life. And to connect this to like maybe that toddler or maybe that vulnerable thing that needs protection or looking out for or care for, imagine that to be your new hobby or your new burgeoning project or the new role that you took on at work, right? There's something about that needs that cautious care, that forward thinking, planning. I love Capricorn to think forward and, we're going to need this for this step, even though it's 3 steps down the road, and look out for that toddler in your own personal life. The house placements of Cancer and Capricorn could probably help you to understand on a deeper level kind of where this is playing out. But because Saturn is in Aries, and we've had such strong Aries in not interactions, activations this year, I definitely think that there's a small toddler inside of all of our new beginnings that we've had going on recently, and that there is something that is worth the little effort and attention and taking care of. So, some of the intentions that folks might be, nope, this is a full moon, this ain't a new moon, never mind. There we go, Mercury retrograde, y'all.
Well, speaking of those new things coming in or coming back, Watkins had an ex come back.
Oh, right away. Oh my gosh.
We also have a real life child coming, a second cousin for Carol and Ben, hoping she'll be born on Ben's B-Day in August.
Oh, how sweet.
How cute.
Oh my gosh. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the whole spectrum of, expressions for these energies. And sometimes it's that maybe more negative ex coming back into your life. Otherwise, sometimes it's that positive new life, that new growth, that new child.
So on the themes of something that I'm personally looking out for, we can go back to my wheel, my new wheel.
New wheel.
Y'all, thank you to anyone who bared through our Jupiter in Leo show. That was just such an eye-opener for me, and an understanding that it was time to upgrade my computer and upgrade my software. I definitely noticed that I was cutting out a whole bunch during that one. And you know what? 10-year-old refurbished computer just doesn't cut it anymore in 2016. And so that thing that I needed to nourish inside of my life was definitely my astrology practice, and taking it to a new level by treating myself and getting a new piece of technology in a computer and getting new software. I'm a Cap rising, and so to me, this really helps me to just do my will. But I really also thought about, like, Gemini is my 6th house, and we've been talking about Uranus recently, kind of upgrading the technology, and 6th house can relate with work in a daily kind of basis. And all of a sudden I have a new, faster, more adept piece of technology to help me to do the work that I'm intending on doing. And so I just kind of wanted to put that one out there, because it really felt like it takes it out of the story of, there's a baby and, you have to feed yourself, into, how are you taking care of the missions in your life as well?
Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of new missions and new things coming in, I'm going to pull up on stage here. Wanted to show you guys, and I'm going to navigate so that you can find it yourself. If you go to my site, you go to Hypnosis Services, Hypnotic Meditations, you will find that I have 3 purchasable, downloadable meditations for you all. These are 3 different intentions. As you can see, anxiety relief, sleep hypnosis, and a past life meditation. And so especially the sleep hypnosis one, y'all, like the amount of people that I've had tell me in group meditations, in group workshops, in one-on-one sessions, oh, if only I could have you help me fall asleep. Your voice is so soothing. And so I made a sleep hypnosis meditation for y'all. But all 3 of these are designed as tools to help you in your day-to-day life, exploring your own past lives, if you're interested in that, finding deeper and better sleep, or helping reprogram and find relief in anxiety. And so this is kind of one of my new missions, one of my new things that I'm bringing into the world. And I wanted to remind you all that I have these on my site, available for $33 a piece. And these are meditations you can download and use again and again and again. And I've already gotten some really good feedback on the anxiety relief meditation. And I'm really excited for you guys all to experience these. So
I tested out the sleep one.
Yay. What did you think?
Well, I fell asleep. I don't know. I mean,
I suppose.
Is that good? Yeah,
that is good.
That's
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have
So
much
check them
more
out,
to say
guys.
besides that.
I'll put the link in the chat too, so you guys can find it easy.
All right. So Watkins was saying that they've already had that ring ring. Who is that from the past pop up with our Mercury retrograde? Our next topic here is going to definitely be the Mercury retrograde, which is, really commonly known for bringing back people from the past. I would imagine even doubly so inside of a sign of Cancer. Let's hope, though, that it's like your childhood best friend who pops up and not like your third grade boyfriend or something like that, or like the first kid that you like kissed on the playground or something like that. But Watkins, thank you for adding into the story with that, because so true, although it's kind of often the last people that we want to hear from. Anyways, Mercury is retrograding right now, stationing retrograde right now at 26, and like I said earlier, it's going to go all the way back to 16 Cancer. And so just right off the bat, things are slowing down. There's been a lot of heat here recently. Actually, I was talking with my designer at work today. She's in France. It's really hot there too. So maybe globally we're going through a lot of heat. And perhaps all of this has just made us get a little dazed and confused out. And perhaps the heat will lead to some things not functioning kind of like you had anticipated, or feeling a little frazzled or spaced out, or heat exhaustion. I mean, after playing pickleball that day, I was worried.
Well, we had our window cleaner guy out here today, and he had to take a break at one point to go get Gatorade because I think he was feeling the heat, and it is just humid and hot and just kind of suffocating.
But nonetheless, I mean, regardless of the weather that's going on outside, the stars are pointing to a little bit of a change in how we move around. And I always like to think about, the crab never really moves in one direction. They kind of always are scuttling around and kind of circling the drain, or, they don't move forward. They are not, it's not like Sagittarius or anything like that. And so you might find in these next few weeks, especially, that it's taking you quite a bit of time to settle. I know that for Cancers, at times it can be hard to make like emotional decisions, just because of like considering this, considering that, feeling into this, feeling into that. There's a lot of just sensing that goes on inside of Cancer as they're intuiting like the best route for themselves. And I feel like right now we're all going to be, especially through this Mercury retrograde, a little bit extra sensitive, a little bit extra unsure, needing like emotional support or encouragement. It's going to be a really interesting one. I mean, it's already been a big season here. So, Jake, how have you been experiencing the Mercury slowdown and station retrograde so far?
Yeah, I mean, really since like the pre-shadows started to happen and we heard whispers of that, I've really noticed a lot of those like communication delays and like drop-offs and backtracks, and like there've been clients that have popped up and then disappeared, and that's like, not that that's like totally uncommon, but like it's been happening kind of frequently where these people pop up and then they fly away, and I haven't heard from them again. Friends too, on a personal level, like I've had friends pop up, people that we make like loose plans, and then it just kind of like never comes to anything, or communication just kind of drops off and we haven't circled back. And I know that it's the time of year, right? There's a lot going on for most people, and lives are busy, calendars are full. And just as I've been feeling, like I feel like most people want to be outside in one way, shape, or form. They don't want to be on their screens. They don't want to be on their phone. They want to be like out doing something. And so I know there's like physical reasons why this can happen too, but energetically, I think it's definitely been been clear. And it's not just one-sided either. I mean, there have been moments where I've dropped the ball or I've drifted off and gotten pulled into something else. And then, oh yeah, I was supposed to email that person, or oh yeah, I need to text that person back and solidify that plan. So I feel like that kind of wonkiness, that delay, drop off energy has been present.
Mm-hmm. And if you're running into any of this, you know, I feel like one of the deeper messages of this Mercury retrograde is being able to kind of soak into or sink deeper into new levels of like unconditional love, self-love, support, nourishment, a lot of these kind of Cancerian moon lunar ideas and qualities. And to me, that is really one of the bigger messages because of where this retrograde is happening. Again, 26 to 16, these numbers are a little bit oddly familiar for the seasoned astrologer. You see, Jupiter had its retrograde in Cancer last fall, 25 to 15. So basically the same degrees. Mm-hmm. And to me, this really speaks to a deeper integration from some of the learnings, understandings, breakthroughs, and wisdoms, and deeper healings that would have happened last fall through, so November to January was when that retrogradation period was happening. It was at that time when I first started hearing from a lot of clients around healing the mother wound, nurturing and caring for yourself, perhaps how your relationship with your mother is related to how you are nurturing and caring for yourself. Topics of big, oversized emotions, an interest in connecting with ancient wisdom a little bit more, or old healing practices. I heard a bit of that too. And so there are lots of interesting ideas that the Jupiter retrograde last fall into the winter really exposed us to. It would have given us, you know, Jupiter works in this kind of higher mind, or more of a, you know, a vision of sorts, more of just a, here's an idea. And now that we have Mercury, which is much more so related to the lower mind, this is kind of, well, how do I do that? Well, how do I go about that ancient wisdom healing practice? Like, how do I take some of that information and turn that into like something that I can actually practice for myself? Or I've been working on healing this thing with my mother. What are the daily steps that I am taking now to be improving that relationship? Or how am I taking steps right now in other relationships that can kind of, you know, carry out some of the same things, and I can practice some of the same things that my soul is learning. And so again, Mercury would have given you, you know, a broad, grand idea, or a new understanding, or even just a new perspective on maybe how you could handle this Cancer part of your life. Whereas now Mercury is going to ask you to bring that into action. And it's perhaps something that you should have done that you didn't do that is now bringing you back into that moment of like, oh shit, now I need to make that commitment. I need to figure out the steps for making that plan actionable and bringing that into my life. And so I really think that this retrograde, yes, it's going to be full of a lot of hilarious snafus. They always are. Please share with us in the comments if you have a good one, of course. But it's really going to help to enact new processes. Oh, and new processes, yes, that help us get out of our old ways, get out of our old ruts, break into something new. Because a lot of what I've been hearing about as we've had some Cancer activations with some of the quicker moving planets this year is really this desire of, how do I move into that new even more fully?
Well, and I had like an epiphany realization because you were talking about that, and I hadn't remembered this bit. in the show planning. And today, one of the things that I was working on, I was writing a little article, a little blurb for my Substack, which if you aren't subscribed to my Substack, go and subscribe. Link down below. But this one is going to be a free one for this week. I've already scheduled it. It's coming out on Wednesday. And I wrote about this concept that came through in a future visioning session I did, this idea of new old ways, and this theme of the old ways coming back. You know, Corbin talked about old healing practices, or old ways that we used to exist and be in previous civilizations, in previous cultures. That theme has been coming up a lot over the past year. But just recently, there was sort of this flip in the script, in the ways that it wasn't so much the old ways coming back. It was the old ways coming back in a new way. It's like we're not doing the same old story. We're not going back to some, replica of Atlantis, or replica of, Native American culture back in whatever day that was. We're not going back to that. That's not going to happen. But how can we bring those old ways into a new life in this present moment? How can we take that wisdom, that knowledge from before, that is coming back to you, whether it be in reflection or in reminiscing about the past, right? Cancer is very reminiscent, or it could be past life experiences, or, deeper things that are coming up. But yeah, it was just interesting that we had that.
I love that with the Saturn square to this moon too, because Saturn, the old thing in Aries, in a new place, how can that be incorporated into healing? How can that be incorporated into our daily lives? How can that be incorporated? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Can we go back to the wheel real quickly? One thing that I just have to continue to say, I mean, I know we already watch out for this one, like pretty concretely. But from a traditional Hellenistic standpoint, this Mercury station is like very, 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 very eye-catching. So one of the things I can do on my new software is I can click on a planet and then just only see the only planets that are in aspect to it. Woo woo! How fun. And it's like, wait, what is this aspect that we have going on here, Corbin? Well, I'll tell you about it, because Mercury is at 26 Cancer, and we have Uranus at 3 of Gemini. What's the aspect here, y'all? What's the angle? Well, it's a concept called antisha. Antisha means that two planets have a similar relationship in the sense of light and darkness. And so when we talk about the line of the equinox, we all just had the equinox recently, right? And that's the line of Cancer, right? At 0 Cancer. These two planets are the same number of degrees away from 0 Cancer. So this is 26 degrees away that way, right? And here we are at 26 this way. If you add the two of them together, you get 30. And by golly, it means that there is a very secretive relationship going on right now between Mercury in Cancer as it's stationing retrograde, and Gemini, and Uranus over here at 3 degrees of Gemini. So, Jake, we naturally walked into the conversation of breaking out of the old and busting into the new. There really will be quite a bit of Uranian energy tied to this Mercury retrograde, just from what we're seeing at the moment of this station, because the two of them are the same distance away from that equatorial line. And so again, they are working secretively behind the scenes to help push this Mercury retrograde into kind of like the most transformative place that it could be. So if you find yourself really breaking out of the shell here, I would imagine it might have to do with like some more Gemini placements personally in your chart. But anyways, just wanted to throw that one out there. It's just another thing that really makes me catch the eye here. But again, the idea of antisha, it's two planets with a secret agreement, and they both have an understanding of something, and they're presenting it from different sides. And so fun stuff. We have more to talk about the crab, though. A little bit of crab medicine for all of us. We have a really fun tarot deck here that Jake's been using recently from Don Brunke. And in that deck, I was like, oh my God, we have that animal deck. I bet the crab is in there. And lo and behold, the crab was the Four of Cups. So here's another place where we can kind of go to get some information, or even just digging into crab medicine itself. And so, I often think about the idea that crabs grow and they have to shed their shell, and they have to get rid of it, and grow a new one, or find a new shell to live inside of, if you're a hermit crab, I guess, which is really interesting, because in some ways it makes me think of like the Four of Cups being that person who's like, no, I don't see that cup behind me, I'm stuck focused on these things. And it's like, oh, there's this opportunity for growth and change and whatever, and you're maybe not seeing it, or how difficult it might be for the crab to go through that period of growth and change. This was just a very long, drawn out way of saying like, hey, are you, nervous to step into that newer burgeoning call inside of your life for you? I feel like this Cancer retrograde is coming up to help us deal with the topic of fear, to deal with the topic of risk and risk taking, to deal with the topic of visibility, and ultimately to help people come out of their shells, right? So if it's time for a new shell for you, hopefully this Mercury retrograde can really help figure that one out for you.
This is not the deck, but this is a fun crab tarot card. And I feel like the Hermit is appropriate for this discussion, like coming out of your crab, coming out of your shell, coming out of your crab shell. There you go. Yeah. It's a good deck though. And crab is some good medicine.
Okay, we are very, very slow today.
We are slow.
I'm going to skip over this entire next section and just suggest that if you haven't watched our Jupiter in Leo show.
Yeah, I'm gonna just remind you guys of that.
But just a reminder, a few hours after this full moon, like literally tonight, overnight, Jupiter will step into Leo. It's a big change that's influencing us for the next year. Jake and I did a show where we connected this cycle of Jupiter and Leo with the summer of love from the 60s and hippies and peace-loving movement. And, we all know that Leo is associated with royalty or the crown. Even Jupiter himself is Zeus, the king of the gods. And so this is really just ushering in a new era of leadership, whether it be self or collective, that really is driven by a heart-centered ideology, where the things that we are expressing are coming through our heart rather through our ego. There's a lot of new ways that you could be, sharing your gifts with other people as a result of this. It really is an energy here that after we had gone through so much emotional healing with Jupiter in Cancer, now we're taking what we've healed to put it on display and share that with others. Like, wow, mom, look what I did, is kind of like where we're going with it. And so I'm very much looking forward to Jupiter and Leo for the next year. I think it'll be a very bright, radiant, positive energy, and will hopefully help us to work through any sort of ego deaths that we might still be working on as our next step of growth.
So I put the link in the chat. If you guys go to the channel and you go to lives, it's just right there towards the top. Jupiter and Leo show.
Okay, but we really want to talk about Mars Uranus.
We do.
Hold on to your hats.
Partner.
This is really kind of the most freaking dynamic thing that we got going on, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversations out there about the Mars Uranus conjunction inside of Gemini, because wow. I don't love to spend a lot of time talking about the bigger thing, but we will, because that's exactly what this one's about. However, I did take a moment to think about this for all of us personally. What did I write down? Adds a dynamic heat into the configuration between the outer planets and a call to action for something that has been coming together for a while. This transit is notorious for rebellions, protests, big shifts, especially in a collective kind of a thing like wars or ideological conflicts. But personally, you might be living some of these things out with your friends and family members, as you might see a shifting of alliances or agreements. But it very much can be a moment of upgrading our systems, of Kundalini-like activations and big shifts within your psychic skills, your clairs, new gifts coming online, getting in touch with a different aspect of yourself that you didn't fully understand or know was there, is definitely the best things that we all have to personally look forward to inside of this. Just a little bit ago, I shared how like Uranus is helping me to upgrade the technology that I'm using inside of my personal work. And so we all definitely will have this transit felt personally for us in a smaller way, but we cannot turn away from how poignant this transit is in the news headlines. So like a handful of years ago in the summer of 2024, like I remember that I was watching for this transit and I was like, ooh, what's going to happen? Oh, this is so exciting. The world's going to blow up. How fun. And the last time that Mars and Uranus came together, they did so in the sign of Taurus. And if anyone remembers summer of 2024, that was when we were like in an election cycle here in the United States. And I think 2 days before the actual conjunction was when there was the assassination attempt on our president, Donald Trump, when he was shot in the ear, which, there's a big darn thing that I know we all paid attention to and that we weren't able to really turn away from. And actually, just a few days after that, the race completely changed because Biden had dropped out like maybe about a week later. I don't know. It was still within a handful of days. It wasn't really that far away in the news cycle. And there was this moment of Mars-Uranus really changing the political landscape here for us back home in the United States, which is really interesting because if you take this conjunction and you really dig into the history of it, this one really has a lot of associations with wars. In fact, the birth chart of the United States has a Mars-Uranus co-presence. I mean, they're in the same sign. They aren't like degree-based conjunction. But Mars-Uranus has always brought a connotation of conflict and war, especially to American politics. You see the two were together during the Revolutionary War. The two were together during the American Civil War, and the two were together again during World War II. And so, yeah. I mean, now's a great time to be practicing what we've been preaching for a long time about making sure that we're tuning into the messaging and the information inside of us and not getting overwhelmed or overloaded by what's going on in the external world or what someone wants to loosh off you or whatever, because there's definitely going to be it feels like there's going to be a major event. It feels like we're on the precipice of the beginning of a few major events, in fact. I just have more examples. I have more and more examples in 2009 when Mars and Uranus came together. And this was inside of Pisces. This was right at the beginning of Obama's administration, and he was met with a rebellious counteractive force, which was known as the Tea Party. Well, the Tea Party came into existence during a Mars-Uranus conjunction in 2009. And in fact, that next time that they came together, I was definitely checking the recent history. In 2011, when Mars and Uranus came together, was when we killed Osama bin Laden. And so not only is it conflict here at home, but it also speaks to conflict abroad. I mean, our Revolutionary War, that was, I guess, an abroad kind of conflict too. There also was the Fukushima nuclear disaster within a week of the killing of, or the unaliving of bin Laden. And so, yeah, what will the people be reacting to this time? There's generally a rebellion against the status quo, a call to change things and move in a different kind of direction. It just is so ominous with that actual conjunction coming together on the 4th of July this year, the year of the United States birthday.
250th birthday too.
250. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really, really interesting. I wanted to provide a little bit of the historical context, because I know that like some of the shorts that I've seen have just been speaking to the doomsday side of thing without highlighting the cycle and just how almost proven these transits are. You know, and then a reminder that at all times we have the personal power to kind of choose how we're going to view and respond to anything that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology is a great tool for always being able to give us a little bit of a heads up on things, and a little bit of a way of reflecting on things that we might not have naturally thought about for ourselves. That's why I love doing natal chart readings for folks. I love able to provide a different perspective for them than that which they carry inside of themselves. But yeah, so we're thinking about doing an astrology show for 4th of July.
Yeah.
I want to dig into this more. I just got back from vacation. I haven't had enough time to play with this one as much as I want to. But I was getting my last certification in 2024. And so I was like really tuned into like the daily transits at that time. And I just will never forget that Mars-Uranus conjunction as it related to Donald Trump. And so I've been waiting 2 years for this to come back. And turns out that it's so much more than just that. When you think about the United States birth chart, when you think about the greater outer planets right now, you know, we've been talking about the Barbo's basket as an opportunity to kind of restart civilization. All the outer planets are aligning right now in this way that should be very, very harmonious for whatever the next chapter is. And so there might be the beginnings of an uprising or the beginnings of a movement that's happening right now that really is, I mean, could this be the, you know, hey, Starseed, activate now, go, you know, that's very much, that very well could be part of right now too. Yeah, anyways. More to think about when I have the time to think about.
Oh, I mean, that's a lot for everyone to noodle on, for sure. I mean, I feel like some of that stuff I'm like aware of in a sense, but haven't thought of it recently. And I think I know that for me, I really value that side of astrology, helping to reflect, helping to think about things in a deeper way instead of just, I mean, because so often we can get just stuck on the hamster wheel. You know, you don't always take those moments to reflect or to think about it. And I feel like astrology is such a wonderful system to help you do that reflection, help you to understand those things, whether that be on a personal level or a more collective level. Obviously, I think these like collective things, it's easier for us to kind of track them because it's happening for all of us at one time. But I think, just as you said, you know, I'm reminded of I saw someone on socials today talking about that fact that, like, you know, the governments, the leaders, the rulers, that reality is not your day-to-day reality, and how much you choose to let that affect your day-to-day reality is up to you. And it's not to say that there aren't, you know, real physical ramifications for that reality, but you like, as someone who has stepped back completely from like political commentary and news, like, and as someone who used to be very, very, very plugged in, the difference that I've seen in my life, my day-to-day life, my day-to-day reality, the quality of life that I live, it's dramatically different. And so it's just something to think about. Something to think about the different realities that exist simultaneously, and sometimes in paradox to each other, right? They don't always make sense together.
But that's
the reality we live in.
That's ultimately a lot of what the astrology is indicating, though. We're moving to a place where more and more realities are concurrently existing together, and we are not only recognizing them, but we're allowing for them to happen, and we are at least tolerant enough to understand why they should need to exist. I don't know what the right word is in that one, but so much of the air signs, the outer planets and the air signs, Pluto and Uranus right now is really opening us up to a greater multitude of realities of what it means to exist, essentially. And so yes, to take that into consideration, the political side of things, but to also take into consideration my personal side of things and perhaps weigh out what is the greater reality. I think there'll be more and more people kind of breaking away from that. I definitely feel like this Mars Uranus will be something that challenges that structure that has been wavering for a while here. It might lead to more and more people breaking away from that sort of dog and pony show. Of course, you're allowed to have your own beliefs and opinions and thoughts about this, and that's part of where we're moving right now. And that's okay. I'm okay if you think that way, because we're all allowed to kind of have our own thoughts. Yeah. Capricorn full moon. That's about it. It's pretty exciting. It's a pretty big one. The astrology is not letting up right now. It's getting more intense. So share with us down in the chat how everything's going for you, or leave a comment. Like, share, and subscribe, of course.
Remember to take care of yourself and take care of those around you as much as you can. I think that, supporting ourselves, supporting each other, like, that has been the message loud and clear in my life, and that I've been hearing from others too. And I feel like leaning back on that while the dynamic changes happen, while the transformation happens, while the explosions seem to be going off. Like, I feel like that's always where we need to return to, is like taking care of ourselves, taking care of our loved ones, the people around us. And I think some of this is pushing us to do that as well, leading us more towards that community, that collaboration, that more collective balance. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But let us know what's going on personally for you, as Corbin said, because there are the collective things. There are also the personal things.
Oh, Watkins with Chiron at 3 Gemini. What a big activation for that one, especially with all the other planets kind of lining up right for that one. It'd be really cool to hear about some of the healing journey that you're going through right now, especially as it relates to perhaps stepping into using your own voice, or as it might be related to sixth house. Oh, hey, Capricorn friend. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Anyways.
Love it. All right, y'all. Happy full moon. And we will see you very soon, maybe this weekend, with our 4th of July show. We'll see if we decide to do it. Let us know in the chat if you'd like that 4th of July celebration with us, diving into America's birth chart and pulling some cards, kind of like a little informal birthday reading. Let us know if you'd like it. All right, y'all. Talk to you soon. Love you all. Bye.